Bonjour, everyone. Hi, I'm Neshi Lokotz. I'm your host for Spiritual Roundtable right here on Facebook live stream at our main fan page for Star Nations, and it's powered by our good friends and partners at Be Live TV. I like those guys. They make our job really, really fun, I think. Let's see, I got to turn this on. Good. Yay. All right, so welcome to all of those that are in the live chat. Thank you so much for joining me today, which is Monday, August 12th. August 12th. And and for those who are watching the show by the recorded video, thank you for making time in your day to spend it with us, with me, and the Spiritual Roundtable. I hope you enjoy the spiritual conversation, whether you're here live and in person or watching it through the recorded video. Because, this show is all about the spiritual conversation. I do divination card draws in the morning, and that is the basis of the conversation. We talk about all kinds of things with that, and I tell you what, it's one of the highlights of my day to spend it with you, Star Nations community, and how we can have this really rich conversation, right? And we get to know each other so much better too, I think. So I am, before we get too far down the road, before I forget, I've got my phone and I am going to send the live stream over to my news feed and sharing it. Sprinkling it over there. Okay, I'm going to love it. And then I'm going to send it over to my news feed. So that way I can remind my friends that I'm live streaming. And I invite you to do the same thing, whether you send it to your news feed, or if you have a friend that you'd like to share it with, please do so. I do know one thing for sure, and that is whenever we find something that's helpful to us on our spiritual journey here, in our soul growth, when we find it, it's always nice to share it with someone else, because you know what? If you were looking for it, so is someone else. And as energy workers or light workers, I kind of call it a civic duty, right? Kind of paying it forward a bit too. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing it, we really would appreciate it. And I'm reminding my friends that I am live streaming right now and asking them to please come out and play. Join us for a okay, there we go. There, I'm going to post that. And I think I'm trying to remember. Stephanie told me she was going to be gone for a few days this week. I think it's tomorrow through Thursday, I think. So, just in case, I'm going to send it over to one of the closed groups. And just to let the peeps know. And to please join us. There we go. Excellent. Get that posted. See, it doesn't take long. I just have to decide to do it. Okay. Oh, got my sound up on my phone. There we go. Let's see who's in the chat. Who joined us? Oh my goodness, Jen's here. Hello, Jen. Good morning. She says it's Tuesday, August 13th, 5 a.m. in Queensland, Australia. And I tell you what, Jen joins us almost every day for this live stream show, for the Spiritual Roundtable. And I appreciate it, Jen. I do, because you're up really, really early. I appreciate it. And all the stuff, and Jen always contributes to the conversation too. And so I love that. Hi, April. Good to have you here, April. And Marie's here too. Hello, Marie. Hello, Marie. Hey, congratulations to both Jen and April for winning the the viewer appreciation gift that Julie Hedges did yesterday. You ladies are lucky ladies. Jen, you got a necklace, and I think April, you won the Tarot Journey book, right? Yeah. Yeah, Julie, that show was so good yesterday. Um, yeah, those card readings were really good too, weren't they? Holy smokes. Some of them were like spot on. And yeah, it's good stuff. I'm so glad I was able to produce her show for her. Gives me front row seat. And it was really good too. Yeah, Jen is saying thank you. You're welcome, Jen. You're welcome. All right. So today we are starting. I don't know the length of time. We're going to be spending some time with a new deck of cards. And I have to say, this is a deck that I haven't really worked with. It's in my possession. I use it for drum making workshops, but I have never actually worked with it personally. So we're gonna start a whole journey here with this deck of cards. And when it prompted me, Spirit prompted me to pick this particular deck the other day. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, it's very interesting. So this is the deck that we're using. It's called White Eagle Medicine Wheel Deck. All right. And it's by Wani Nichi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. With Elena Harvey. Okay. Wana Nichi. White Eagle Medicine Wheel Deck. It was originally copyrighted in 1997. And it's very interesting how the author, Wani Nichi, how he pulled together the information and is offering it to those who are willing and wanting to use his deck of cards, right? When I was reading over the information in the introduction, there's something I'd like to share with you before we actually jump into the cards, okay? He says, he's talking about when he was a young man and there would be people coming to him to study with him, right? To have a medicine person as their teacher. And he was explaining that sometimes it's people who will show up at his door and ask him, right? And there's other times where he has noticed someone and has offered to become their teacher, right? And so there was two different ways that he would take on somebody to train. And he was saying that in those old days, it wasn't just like for a long weekend. It wasn't for a series of weekends. It was they come, they move in, and they could be there for years, literally years. And he was saying how that in more modern day, we don't necessarily find that happening as often. Nearly very rarely do you find that it happens. And he was saying that how, in a way that it really disturbs is a good word, disturbs the kind of immersion into the culture and into the work that if you're only there for, a few days a week or a few days a month, and in some cases, here I'm thinking we're starting online courses. You're not even there in person, right? And so it was kind of a nice way to take a peek into the past and how we would have our spiritual teachers at 24/7, basically, right? Now, that meant that you were also working around the house. You weren't exactly just going there to sleep, get up, study, do what you got to do. And then, when he was doing, or the teacher's doing their everyday life stuff, that you would be off on your own. Not necessarily. You've now become a member of that household. And so that means that you have your share of the chores and that sort of thing. So it's definitely different. than what we do now. Most times, if we have any length of stay, it could be maybe 2 weeks. I've taught 2-week long certification courses where somebody will move in with me for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a total immersion into it, right? Yeah. So here's what he says. He says that if you're accepted as a pupil, you would give medicine gifts, tobacco, and maybe a beautiful blanket. You would stay with that teacher for many years, learning, absorbing, watching, refining your perceptions, assisting with ceremony, healing, and many other sacred ways. You would learn to understand yourself, to know your strengths, and how to develop them, and how to overcome your weaknesses. You would learn that fear is there to be challenged, and that love, compassion, and an open heart are the gifts of spiritual maturity. I read that and I thought, oh, that's a good way to put it. Okay, so you would learn that fear is there to be challenged, and that love, compassion, and an open heart are the gifts of spiritual maturity. Isn't that a nice way to look at spiritual maturity? Maybe some may not even consider spiritual maturity. They just think of maturity and that's all. But we do mature in all four of our bodies, and not necessarily at the same rate, right? He says that you would also learn to deal with your shortcomings by laughing at yourself. In fact, humor is one of our greatest gifts. He goes on to say that you would learn that you are part of the great web of life, connected with all creation, and that every action affects the whole. You would come to know that you are supported by life and can call for help and assistance on all other life forms, such as plants, animals, and the wind. And in this way, you would come into balance and harmony with yourself and all life. Now, okay, isn't that much of what we're searching for many times? It's actually a place to belong. It's about belonging to the greater whole, right? The greater good. Yeah, I read that and I thought, oh man, that was written in 1997. And he also explains why white eagle medicine, right? He says, eagles are the carrier of prayers and messengers to the source of all, Great Spirit. Eagle feathers are revered by us as sacred power objects. We have golden eagles, bald eagles, but the white eagle is the symbolic bird of the highest spiritual aspiration. He also goes on to and mentions the word medicine, because we use that word a lot, right? Especially in Native America, medicine. He says, this has medicine people, medicine wheels, and big medicine. This has much deeper meaning than something that brings healing. It also means protection and spiritual or sacred potential. So good medicine is brought to you through these cards as we work with them. Yeah. So, I thought, this could give us some really good conversations and maybe insight. And he also adds the medicine wheel information, and calls it, it's a circle, right? An unending circle. And how energy flows in a circle. It's not linear. It flows in a circle. And he's using more of an Ojibwa or Anishinaabe perspective. Okay, so the more I see some of the words, maybe they'll start. The pronunciation guide will kick in a memory, because the Ojibwa language is very similar to the Potawatomi language. Yeah. Hey, April is thank you so much for it. The book. Yeah, I hope you like it. It's really, really good. And Jen's saying, yep, living it. Absolutely, I will note his statement. Yeah, I like the fact that he explained what it was like for him, and how he was trained, right? Um, and literally moving in and living with his teacher. Yeah. Jen says, I love these calls already without seeing them. I know, right? Now, he goes on to talk about the medicine wheel, and I just want to mention two sentences that kind of jumped out at me. He said, the circle represents all life, unity, energy, and movement. We Native people see circles as sacred enclosures. You are the center of your own wheel of creation, and will have a natural affinity with certain places on the wheel. Right? And so that was one of my insights. Oh gosh, I don't even know how many years ago, about the wheel, that we're not on the wheel, we're in the wheel, right? The wheel is around us all the time, all the time. It's an energetic map, it's an energetic template. And so we carry the medicine of the wheel with us all the time. It's just not when you have the opportunity to actually go into a physical wheel, right? And the other thing is that all indigenous people had some sort of circle that they worked with in a spiritual way, right? That and the drum. All right. And he goes on to say that our own medicine wheels or circles teach us the oneness of life, of all creation, and our place in the circular dance of the life force energy. The circular dance of the life force energy. So as the energy flows into the wheel, it comes into the wheel as a spiral, right? And looking at the wheel, at the two-dimensional wheel, it looks like it's just a circle, but it's not. It's actually a spiral. It spirals up. Okay, so it looks like it's a closed circle, but it really isn't. It really isn't, because you get to travel the circle and go upward on that circle. Yeah, he says that the cards represent animals, grandfathers and grandmothers, or the elders, and totems. They will be your teachers, bringing you the gifts of knowledge and wisdom. The cards themselves carry the spirit energy of the images. As you look at them or hold them in your hand, note what emotional reactions they provoke deep inside. Okay, so one of the things that he suggests is to keep a journal, and it's not necessarily the actual message, like in the words, but the emotions that the message brings up for you, right? And if you guys want to do that, I would encourage you to do that. But if you're moved not to, that's okay too. Sometimes it's easier to say it, I suppose, right? So you could record it, do your own voice recording of it. What he's trying to do is he's trying to help us to connect our emotional body to the medicine wheel, not just our mental body or our spiritual body for that matter, but our emotional body. Okay, so as we go through the cards, I thought, oh, this is going to be so cool. All right, so we want to, I'm going to sneeze. I forgot to take my medicine again today. My allergy medicine. Dang. I don't know. I've set the alarm and I forgot to reset it. Jeez. All right, so yeah. We're going to take our teacher's guide here and really add the emotional element to that. So when I show you guys the cards, you know how we do that at the end and we show all of them together, and we call in our team, right? We take that big deep breath in, and so that we're taking in as much of the information as possible. That's good. That's optimal for you. And we'll want to include especially my emotional body. Okay? All right. And so that also means that we want to be grounded and centered. Okay? Grounded and centered. Because that way, when we take in the information from the cards that Spirit's bringing to us, we'll be in a good place to really take in as much as possible the information. Okay? All right. Alrighty then. So what we're going to do is, if you have not done your grounding today, we're going to pause just for a moment for you to do your grounding. And if you need help with that, if you don't know, please let me know in the comments, and I will do a short grounding and centering. Okay? I'll give you a moment. I love iced tea. All right. So as you're working on the grounding, yeah, I think that this conversation, I'm so glad these are recorded, right? Because you can always go back and watch the videos again anytime. You can also go to our YouTube channel if you want to download the video, the recorded show, if you want to share it outside of Facebook. Okay, so the recorded live stream shows here at Facebook, there you can only share them within Facebook easily. You can share them outside of Facebook, but you kind of have to be a little adept at technology to do that. So, okay. All right. So if you can just let me know if you guys are done doing your grounding, that would be really helpful, so I know that we can get started. And we have 2 cards today. 2 cards. Okay. And you know what? And I really like the fact that Stephanie has done the are you grounded today? Did you do your grounding today? Because it's going to be very helpful to us when we see those prompts, especially if you get them early in the morning, right? And if you're going to be coming to the show, is to please do your grounding right away in the morning. And so that when we get here, we're ready to work. We're ready to rock, right? All right. Jen is saying, we are the wheel when we connect all our bodies using the medicine wheel. It's like activating our Merkaba. Well, it's similar to that, yes. The medicine wheel is like a 2D version of our Merkaba, is my opinion, connecting all the dots of missing knowledge. Yeah, I agree with you. There's an element of the medicine wheel that's missing in the Merkaba. Well, okay, the medicine wheel is really meant for a guide for our life here, our earth walk, our spiritual experience, right, in the physical body, right? Yes. The Merkaba is also helpful to us, but it's not necessarily a template or a map, right? Yeah, there is a little bit of a difference there. They're both very, very, very helpful. I do both. My Merkaba has been activated and permanent since 2002, and I live my life by the medicine wheel. So yeah, they're definitely work very, very well together, but one is not the other. There's some similarities, but one is not the other. Okay. All right, so I think we're going to get started, okay? Here is the very first card that came. All right. Oops, my fan is blowing the cards around. It's the Dreamweaver. It's part of the Elders section of the cards, the Grandfathers section. see if I hold it up a little bit higher. There we go. It's called Dreamweaver. And this is a dream catcher here. Right? We've talked about dream catchers before on this show. And dream catchers originated east of the Mississippi. Okay, more in the northeastern part of the United States, Turtle Island, and the north. Well, going into Canada, if you can kind of not do the border thing between countries, right? They call it Indian country. Is what they do. Is that there? You have to look at it without the borders, and so northeast would actually go into Canada too. Okay. And so the medicine wheel, the use of the medicine wheel, and how to make a medicine wheel came from that part of the country. Right? Yeah, and so the medicine wheel, the dream catcher, got medicine wheel on the brain. The dream catcher, what it does is that it's like a filter, right? It filters out the bad dreams, the nightmares. It filters those out. But it allows through the dreams that are meant to be helpful to you, right? And so, so traveling, for those who know about their astral body, right? Our spiritual body travels when our physical body is at rest. It's the time when our mental mind is asleep. And that part of us that is connected truly to our soul, to our spirit, right, is actually free to create and to experience without the mental mind interceding and possibly changing things and adding fear into that, right? Yeah. And so the dream catchers can actually help the physical body rest, right? And allow those nightmares to be filtered out and the good dreams to come through. And many of those good dreams are really our spiritual body traveling to different dimensions, to the same dimension with experiencing, right? And so there's kind of at least two different kind of dream states. There's our physical body that's at rest, and our mental mind does have dreams. It helps us to work out those emotional things from our day, right? But then there's the dream state, where our spiritual body actually goes and does the traveling, soul traveling. Yeah. All right. So here's what the author has to say about this, okay? That this comes from the Ojibwa, the Anishinaabe, dream catcher. This dream catcher is traditionally made from red willow wood and sinew for the web. Feather, also called as hackles from game birds, dangle from it to bring protection. This gift is especially helpful when it's hung above the bed, as protection against nightmares and to help those engaged on a spiritual path to access their dreams and their visions. So the dream catcher, this will help you to remember your dreams and will filter out those nightmares. During sleep, you can enter the spirit world. You are at a very powerful level. Your mind is no longer in control. Spirit and energy are now in charge, okay, during dream time, sleep time. It says it's time to see the mind for what it is, a useful servant, but a bad master, a BAD master, who will cut you off from spirit. Relax and allow the messages from the dream world to bring more balance into your life. Okay. Now, this card came to us upright. Had it been in reverse, we would have had to look at and talk about the ego and not grounding to the earth our creations. It says, remember, you need to bring your dreams into practical reality and use the gifts they bring effectively. Right? So the dream catcher, the message from that is that is to realize that we're a much more powerful being than we give ourselves credit for, especially when our physical body is at rest. Right? When our mental mind, is also at rest. It's when our pineal gland goes to sleep. Right? It's that part of us that that wants to take in only certain kind of information. Right? And so when we're asleep, our spirit selves, our soul self, our higher self is able to move about in a freer way. Right? So how many people have dreams where they feel like it, you feel like this isn't a dream. This is real. It feels real. It doesn't feel like those, some dreams are kind of disjointed and disconnected and, they don't make a whole lot of sense. Those kind of dreams are the ones that are helping us with our emotions and how to deal with those emotional things that came up in our day. There's other dreams that feel like it's like we're right here in it, right? How many people have experienced that? Let's see. Rochelle's here. Hi, Rochelle. Thank you for being here. Rob's watching too. Yeah. Ah, Jen, did you delete your comment about the Merkaba? I hope you didn't do that. No, because you had some really good points in there. Definitely did have some good points in there. All right. So, and Marie's here too. All right. So if you've had those kind of dreams where it feels like it's in your everyday life, like it's, we're going to put it in air quotes, real. Okay. Yeah. That is your higher self. That is your soul, your spirit that is traveling. That's what my family calls it, traveling. Going from one dimension, realm, to another. And sometimes they're in the same realm, but maybe you're actually getting a glimpse or experiencing something that is going to be in the future, right? Yeah, more prophetic than just a dream, right? Yeah. Dreamcatcher. Actually, the card is called Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver. And I think that when the first time we talked about this, a Dreamweaver, I had asked if there was who in the audience had a Dreamcatcher. Right. They're difficult to find, to purchase, but you can also make them yourself. My mom used to make them for us. Yeah. The last one I had, I actually gave it away. Yeah, it's a good thing though. It's a good thing. It was for a child who was having issues sleeping, and the mom who I know was telling me about it. She goes, "I can't find one. I can't find one." And I have two nieces who make dream catchers, but they do it kind of sporadically. And so it's the one my mom made me. I had it hanging on my rearview mirror in my car, and so I took it off and I gave it to this little girl so she could have a better night's sleep. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Rochelle says, hair looks cute. Thank you. And she said, Rochelle says she does have a dream catcher. Yeah. And so, hanging it, some people say hang it in the window. Some people say hang it above your bed. Um, I say test it out, and see which one feels right for you, to filter out the bad dreams, right? Some people call them nightmares, the bad dreams, and allow you as a soul to be able to travel, protected, right? And let me tell you, if you are traveling from realm to realm, um, and chances are you're never alone. Never, ever, ever are you alone. There's spiritual team members, um, that go with you. There's team members on your spiritual team that will go with you, in different capacities. Some are protectors, some are guides, and so you're never alone. Okay, never alone. Yeah. All right. So this is our first card. Our first card. This is the one sentence that really jumped out at me, is that it's time to see the mind for what it is, a useful servant, but a bad master. Now, in the study of awakening the illuminated heart, there's been some, coming from some ancient texts from the Upanishads, where they say that, um, we're here to master the mind, right? That we are, the mind is a servant of the soul, of the heart. Yeah. Um, and I think that with that spiritual maturity, we actually begin looking at it more from a balanced state, right? That we do need our mental mind. We need that egoic part of us. When it's in balance, holy smokes, you know, um, it helps us during our day. It helps us get through our daily life. That's the part of us that keeps us on time, and helps us to categorize things, right? And to say, okay, this one's more important. I'm going to move that up to the front. And it's very helpful to us when it's in balance. So, and when our emotions are out of balance, it's really hard to make some decisions sometimes, because our emotions are kind of all over the place, right? And so when we're balanced and grounded, it's more often that we can come from our high heart, right? The balance between the mind and the heart, the balance between your mental thoughts and your intuition, your soul. Because they're always around. I mean, it's not like that those aspects of us go away. They don't. They don't. They're always there. We're always together. And it's kind of hard for some people to kind of really bring in, right? That we're a whole being. Yeah. With the Native America, for those of us that are enrolled with a tribal nation, we have to consider ourselves in fractions. I am, half this, quarter that. Yeah. And so we sometimes you tend to see yourself in those bits and pieces. But the truth is that we are a whole being. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go on to the second card. Looking at the time. Second card is the Dolphin. And this comes from the totem part of the cards. Dolphin. I like that one down at the bottom. And that's actually a medallion. That's beadwork. You can kind of see the beads. Right? So you get shells. It's very much about the ocean and the water. Dolphin. Yeah, and this card actually reminded me of Madonna de Paulo, one of our authors here at Star Nations, in her book, The Dreamweavers, and how much we can learn from our relatives, the dolphin. And they're our elders. They were here before we were. Yeah, they're thousands of years old. They have so much to say, right? Dolphins about communication. Yeah, how they communicate through sound, through telepathy, right? Dolphins. And it's about communication, awareness, and harmony. Okay? Communication, awareness, and harmony. The author says that the sound of the rattle reminds us of one of Dolphin's gifts, and that's the teaching of rhythm and sound. Yeah, and I would have never put together a gourd rattle or just a rattle with the information of Dolphin. I would have never put those two together. And so when I read that, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Rhythm and sound. Rhythm and sound for Dolphin. Yeah. Okay. So Dolphin says that you have discovered how to live your life by natural tides and patterns of events, that you can surrender to the ebb and flow of the ocean of life in harmony with all. You know how to listen to and understand the subtle messages from the environment. Dolphin affirms your ability to live with an open heart, accepting those around you. The life force of the Great Spirit flows through you, so remember to contact the wisdom available to you through dream time. Through dream time. The life force of the Great Spirit flows through you. So remember to contact the wisdom available to you through dream time. And so that's the connection between the first card and the second card, right? So Dolphin can come in. The medicine of Dolphin can come in and can help us with understanding our wisdom coming through our soul through dream time, right? Because remember, our mental mind is asleep during that time frame, right? And so when we wake up and we remember our dreams, right? The ones that are really stand out to you, write those down. Write them down so that you can spend some time with them later, right? So that in our mental mind, we can sit and we can take in the information, the wisdom that came through that dream time during your travels, right? Yeah. Get into dream interpretation next. It says, copy Dolphin and breathe yourself back into the connection, joy, and life. And so Dolphin also does something else for us, is that it reminds us to breathe. Because most of us breathe shallow. We breathe from up here, right? Especially when you're first starting out with meditation. That's one of the good things that meditation teaches us is how to take really deep breaths so that we're really working with our diaphragm and really filling up our lungs from the bottom to the top. And so I think there's something called Dolphin's breath. Does anybody know about that, Dolphin's breath? Rochelle says Dolphin is a totem animal for me. Really? Wow. I forgot to ask that. A totem animal for you. Very cool. How does Dolphin help you, Rochelle? Have you ever connected to Dolphin to see what their medicine is bringing to you? Oh, Jen, good. I'm glad your comment is still there. Yay! I just didn't see it in the chat. I don't know where it went. That's weird. Facebook. Something's going on with Facebook because I'm using my phone because, in the studio, I still can't scroll through the messages. And so I have to use my phone to monitor and to see what you guys are saying. And so I didn't see the one that you wrote about the medicine wheel and Merkaba. So I'm glad it's still there. Yay! Okay, and Jen is saying, I love dreaming. I have all different kinds of dreams for different purposes. Yeah. Yeah, and especially when see, I grew up in a family where dreams were really important. Really important. I used to think that all families sat down at the breakfast table in the morning and talked about the dreams that you had, And I realized we are probably one of very few families that do that. My grandfather, my Misho, on my mom's side, he belonged to a traditional religion called the dream drum or the big drum, and he was the speaker for two drums actually. And so growing up with that as a base, for a belief system, so dreams are really, really important, really important. They can be prophetic. They can help us understand something that's going on in our life. We can meet all kinds of helpers in our life, both seen and unseen, those from spirit. Yeah. So dreams are really important. I remember the very first time I ever consciously traveled and knew that I was going from my home to a specific place and back. Right? Yeah. I went to our family home. At the time, my parents and I were estranged. We weren't getting along. And I remember walking through a wall in the kitchen. And I remember thinking, I just walked through a wall. It's like, this must be a dream. And I'm looking around and everything looked like it always does. It felt, quote unquote, real, right? And so I'm making my way through from the kitchen to the dining room to the living room. When I got to the living room, I thought, something's not right here. Because the TV was on, but it was like a white screen, like white noise, right? And someone was sleeping on the couch with their back to the TV. And I couldn't see which brother that was. And I realized I'm traveling. And then I started to panic. It's like, I can't be found here. My parents don't want me here. I'm trespassing, and went back to the kitchen to try to figure out how to go back the way I came in, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I went and sat on the step between the living room and the dining room, and I was talking to my spiritual team. And they said, so why am I here? Why am I here? And I don't want to be here. I don't want to be found here. I have a hard enough time with them right now. I don't need this too, right? Well, of course, it was all part of that life lesson thing. And they showed me how to come home. And that had everything to do with being able to be more aware of coming and going and being intentional with it, right? Intentional with it. So I remember coming back to my body, that whooshing sound. As you come back into your body, that's what I hear. And I remember kind of feeling like, oh, I'm back in my body. And I'm thinking, am I? And because I looked at the digital clock radio thing, there was no numbers in it. It was kind of a glowy green, but there was no numbers in it. And I thought, okay, I'm not quite back yet. And so anyway, I could hear one of my guides, it's female voice, fun voice, was explaining to me what just happened, and she goes, "Are you ready to go again? Where would you like to go this time?" And it was like oh, this is going to be fun. This is an adventure. Let's go, kind of thing. That was the first time. That was the first time I remember it being very intentional. Intentional. Yeah. Jen is saying, I grew up in a family that thought I was strange and off the planet. I have searched since I was a child for confirmation and understanding of my own experiences. Oh, so you've been on a quest. You've been on a quest. And Jen, have you found what you've been searching for? Yeah. And I'm still waiting for Rochelle. Rochelle, how do you connect with Dolphin? Have you connected with Dolphin? Is probably a better question. All right, so we have these two cards, one from the elders and one from the totems, right? And really, I do believe that the message coming in today has to do with taking it in and understanding from another perspective that we truly are powerful beings, right? And that that we have the ability to be consciously aware of it, even though we're asleep in our dream time, and that our soul, our higher self, is really stepping forward. And we're that part of us is still growing and experiencing and showing us things. And so that when we come back and we're thinking about, God, what just happened? That was like, wow, that our mental mind, our conscious self, begins, as Jen says, to connect the dots, right? Connecting the dots and looking for confirmation and validations, right? Jen says, no, I don't think we ever stop learning. I agree with you. I don't think we do. I think when we stop learning is we're leaving our physical body. We're moving on to our next spiritual experience. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that when we find our place that we resonate with, right? The people who we can talk to and have these kind of conversations with, that's very helpful. It's very helpful, so that we may still have people in our lives that think that we're strange or off the planet. I used to, yeah, I don't know if I should say this out loud because some of my family members watch the show. I used to think, I have two adopted brothers, right? I used to think that maybe I was the one that was adopted because I was so different from everybody else in my family. I'm the only hugger. I was for a really long time the only hugger. And so, as life progressed, I began thinking, maybe I'm not adopted, but maybe I'm from a different planet. Maybe I'm from a different place. And that's why I don't quite fit in here, But in retrospect, we all choose the family that we're our blood family, our genetic family, our adopted family. We all choose that in our soul contract. And so they bring to us and we bring to them a certain aspect of our soul growth, right? Yeah. And so we chose them for a reason. Excuse me, Jen says, yes, we find our tribe we resonate with. Yeah, we do. We do. All right, so taking a look at these two cards, all right, so what I'd like you to do is to call to your spiritual team, the whole team, and ask them to come close because we're going to be looking at these cards together, and to help you to bring in the information, both the seen and unseen, that's important for you that resonates with you and that you need to help maybe connect the dots and have your own insightful aha moment. And as we do this together, you know, we have the ability to help each other too, right? At the same time. So, taking a big deep breath in, and as you exhale, really taking in the information coming from the elders, the grandfather over here with the Dreamweaver, the dream catcher, right? Taking in the information about the importance of truly understanding in many, many different ways that our mind, our mental mind, is can be the servant of the soul, of the heart. That we can live in a balanced way, right? And that we have the ability as a soul, as a spirit, to do travel from one realm to another, from one dimension to another, taking in information for our soul growth right here in our home called planet Earth. Right? And then if we do use the dream catchers, is that they're an ally, they're a helper that can help to filter out lower vibrational energies that may cause or create nightmares or bad dreams. And they're actually a layer of protection. And that we can call on Dolphin to help us with communication, harmony, right? That if we need assistance in dream time and understanding the wisdom that we're bringing through our dream time, that Dolphin can help us do that. All we have to do is ask, to call on Dolphin. And dolphins are fun. If you need to have some fun and joy brought into this, you can also call on Dolphin for that as well. But what I sense from the energy of the cards today, it's all about our dream time and our higher self, and understanding that our mental mind is powerful, but it's not as powerful as our soul, as our heart. And that when we're in balance with it as a whole being, that we can walk in a good way, in that medicine way, right? In that medicine way. Yeah, using our gifts, expressing our soul through our gifts. It's all good. It's all good. But I think Spirit is really coming through to help us to understand, maybe in a different perspective, or maybe it's a deeper way of understanding that our mental mind, when it goes to sleep, that our spirit self is able to bring in even more information to us, right? Kind of reminds me of Orchard and Carl Franklin. You know, they just taught the second half of the meditation, how to stay in meditation, at the closed group in the academy. And if you didn't catch that live, that's okay. It's still recorded, but you have to go and be a member of the closed group, Star Nations Academy. And most of you that are in the chat today are members. And so if you didn't catch that class, you might want to, because they talk about that two times a day, that we are actually in a very good meditation state naturally. And that's when we first wake up in the morning, we're not quite awake and we're not quite asleep, that between time, right? And at night, same thing, that between time. Yeah. So, all right. This was fun. This was fun right at the top of the hour. So if anything that was shared today in the conversation, if it resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it. and to watch, see, sense, or feel how the energy is unfolding around you today and where this information could be helpful, right? And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. No worries. There's always tomorrow's cards, and that might resonate with you. And I always say that perhaps you are the messenger. Maybe you know someone that you can share the video with, and maybe that's what that was all about for you, is to be the messenger, right? Okay. So I got to tell you that here at Star Nations at the live stream shows, we have quite a week for you guys with shows. And hopefully you'll be able to join us for all of them or most of them or some of them. All right, so it starts out tomorrow with Mervyn Kelly. Mervyn just contacted me. He may have to move his show back to tomorrow. Maybe he has got some stuff that he's got to do with his mom. So he's either going to do it on Wednesday, or he'll just do it next month. But the title of his show is Working with the Ancestors, and it's going to be a really good show. He says that ways to work with them and how they help us. We can talk with some stones and crystals that can help us to connect to our ancestors. So we'll let you know a little bit more about that after I talk to him, if he's going to have his show on Wednesday or roll it over until next month, okay? Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. That's at noon Eastern time tomorrow, Tuesday, August 13th. And she's talking about inner wisdom activation. Yahoo! She says there are times when we are searching for answers, hoping to connect with our higher self. She'll discuss the chakra energy that can be used to access our inner wisdom. Yep, and combine it with a healing meditation to do just that. That's going to be really good too. Yay. And then Tuesday night is my weekly show, my evening show, Communications from Home. And we're going to be talking about the magazine and how Jen and I just talked about it a little bit in the conversation here, is seeking spiritual information. Sometimes we seek spiritual information to validate. Sometimes it's to learn, right? And so our magazine, Star Nation Magazine, can actually help us with that. And so I'm going to share that with you on Tuesday night. Wednesday is Soul Connections with Polly Jo at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is all about healing and divine messages. It's a really good show. Yep, that's it for this week. That's a lot. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for one of those, or maybe all of them. So with that, please enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern for the Spiritual Roundtable and our next spiritual conversation. Okay? All right. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.